Shoot, look at that. Started off on mute. Good start to the show. What is going on, guys? Pete Nova here with Face Off Sports Network. I am back today to go over some DFS. We're also going to answer some of your fantasy questions as we roll along. It's going to be a laid back, chill kind of show. So just sit back, enjoy any questions you might have. Feel free to just pop them in. I'm going to go over some of my favorite plays for DFS this week and just fantasy in general. And then, as we go through the show, like I said, feel free. You can pop in with any questions you might have and throw in some thoughts as well of just kind of, plays you like and, players you can't get in or can't get out of your lineup. And we'll just kind of go from there. But just sit back, enjoy. Thank you for joining me here on Saturday morning. Appreciate the support. If you are here, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're over on Twitter, come over to YouTube. Supports us much, much more. Face Off Sports Network. That's where you'll find us on YouTube. But yeah. Hopefully, if you guys are here at 9 a.m. in the morning Eastern time, maybe it's 6 a.m. on the West Coast your time. Appreciate you popping in. I do have a couple of comments in the chat, so we'll get to some of these already. Zach Linton's in the house. What's up, Zach? Good to see you, man. Kevin in the house as well. I see D Money's question. I'm going to get to Kevin's first since he sent in a super chat to get us kicked off for the morning. So appreciate that, Kevin. He said Rico in Dynasty, buy, sell, hold. So the interesting thing about Rico Dowdle, and I'm going to pull up Dynasty Daddy. Let's just take a look at what the general market on Rico Dowdle is right now for Dynasty. I'm kind of indifferent on Rico. I'm fine holding him in Dynasty. In redraft, I'm trying to move him if I can get some good value on him, but Rico is 27 years old. I thought he was younger, but let me just double check that. Yeah, he's 27 years old, turns 28 next year. It's hard for me to advocate to hold on to Rico if you are somebody who's a rebuilder right now. I look at it and taking a look at some of the trades right now, he's valued at 60 and has risen. So he's ahead of Woody Marks, Will Shipley, in value right now. I don't know that I agree with the Woody Marks pick, but let's just see at least recent trades for Rico Dowdle. I'm going to share the screen, give you better visuals, paint that picture. So Rico Dowdle right now, and you can check out Dynasty Daddy. Their service is free. This is just some recent trades for Rico Dowdle. A 2026 second rounder. That's a 10-man league. That's a super flex. DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, and a third. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I would rather the Zay Flowers side there, the younger asset. I'd rather get in the picks as well with we have no idea who's going to be there for the Steelers next year. You say Rico, DJ Moore, and Michael Pittman for Travis Etienne. I'll take the Pittman, DJ Moore side all day. That's kind of nuts. Rico for Travis Hunter, Rico for Derrick Henry. These are dynasty trades. So, I think clearly you can see that you can get some really good value for Rico Dowdle. I mean, some of these trades are absolutely ridiculous. I would say if I'm trading Rico, if I'm a contender, I don't think there's a need to keep Rico Dowdle. I mean, I'm sorry. If I'm a rebuilder, I'm not keeping Rico Dowdle. He's on a 1-year deal. He's going to go somewhere else, and you're just going to be hoping that he gets a good landing spot. But I mean, 27 years old, he's going to be 28 next year. I would just be enjoying the ride while I can if I'm a contender, unless I'm getting good value. If I can get a second round pick for Rico Dowdle, I'm taking that to the bank if I am not competing. So that's kind of how I would approach it. I don't think he's a hold because I don't think his value is ever going to be higher. I mean, maybe he takes a starting role and is that for the rest of the year. Maybe you think his value gets higher, but even if that were to happen and the stars were to align, you're not getting better than a second round pick in Dynasty if that were to happen. So appreciate the super chat, Kevin. Hopefully that answered your question. Low came with another super chat. Said, would you trade Mike Evans and Cam Scadaboo for Devon Achane? Mike Evans, Scadaboo for H, and yeah, I would do that. I'm cool with that. I mean, Scadaboo's the best player in the deal. I'm sorry. Devon Achane is the best player in the deal. Don't get me wrong. I love Mike Evans and I love Scadaboo. But I mean, Devon Achane, I mean, I understand that there's some issues and some concern with Miami, but Tua has been healthy. Change coming off a 31 point performance. He hasn't had less than 16 points in PPR in a single game this year. Cam Scadaboo, the steam is pretty high for him right now, and I drafted Scadaboo. I was a big advocate for Scadaboo over Tracy all off season. I said Tracy probably would not have value going, and there's still hope for Tracy's career's not over. But I think A Chain. I mean, A Chain's got some tough matchups coming up. Cleveland and Atlanta. I don't have A Chain very high in my rankings this week. And Atlanta's going to be a tough matchup, but then he's got some good matchups. He's got Baltimore, Buffalo, Washington gets a bye. He's got the Saints, Jets, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Tampa Bay. I mean, that's a solid schedule rest of the way. So yeah, I would take that deal, especially if you have the depth at wide receiver. And I got to think you do if you're willing to move Mike Evans, considering he hasn't played for a few weeks. I got to think that you probably have depth at wide receiver if you're looking at making this deal. So appreciate that, Locaine. Let's see. I'm gonna get to D Money because he was here. He said Judkins or Rice in the flex full PPR. Oh man. I'm gonna go with Judkins over Rice this week. I love Quinshon Judkins this week. I like Rice too. I think Rice is in for a good week as well. My concern is more, I think that the Browns game will be much, much more competitive. Where I worry about this Chiefs game where maybe there's more of a possibility that they run away with that game. It's a divisional game, so I think it'll be closer than people expect. But ultimately, I'm gonna take Quinshon Judkins over Rice this week. I mean, it's going up against Miami in a game that the weather is going to be really bad, and I think they're just going to lean on the run game. And I don't think Miami's going to, score a ton of points where the game script hurts Quinshon Judkins. I could see the game script hurting Rice, though I do think Rice is going to have a good week as well. So take that with what you may. Kevin said, thanks. No problem, brother. Appreciate you dropping in, man. Brendan said, would you trade Garrett, Rashad White for T. Pittman and Monty? My running backs are Monty, Bucky, Hampton, Benson, Michael Carter, Benson twice. Wide receivers could be Egbuka, Coca Flowers, and those guys. Just reading it again. Garrett, Rashad White, for T. Pittman, Monty. Well, I think the more important, and he said you said you have ETN. I think the more important part is, are you in a good spot record wise? Can you hold out for Garrett Wilson? Because Garrett Wilson's the best player in this deal. I'd take Rashad White over Monty until Bucky's back. Garrett Wilson's still the best player in this deal, though. I mean, Pittman and T's going to get the upgrade with Flacco. Pittman's been really solid this year. But I'm going to take the Garrett Wilson side. I mean, your running backs would be Monty, Bucky, Hampton. Yeah, and you're giving up the Rashad White handcuff there. I want, cornering that backfield. We've seen Tampa Bay's backfield is extremely valuable. So that's like a handcuff where it's like, I want to keep Bucky and White. I wouldn't do this deal. Yeah, I wouldn't take that deal. Appreciate you popping in. Iggy said, played against Jamar. I played Metcalf, need a home run hitter, sit one, Olave, Rashi. Yeah, you're sitting Olave if you need a home run hitter. Rashi and Sutton have the higher ceilings in their matchups for sure. D Money said, it's my birthday. Appreciate the advice. Well, hey man, happy birthday. Thanks for popping in, brother. Appreciate that. And spending your birthday with me. So appreciate it, man. Stick around if you can. If not, you got some celebrations and things you're getting into. Go ahead and do that too. But appreciate you popping in, man. Let's see. Gomain Bowler said, and I might have pronounced that wrong. And everybody that watches the show knows I'm not good at pronouncing names. So if I pronounce your name wrong, don't take it personal. Said, would you bench Hurts for Herbert this week, or do I roll with Hurts? Um, so let's see where. So I have Herbert at 8. I have Hurts at 7. One thing to note about the Chargers this week, and I have a little bit of a DST tease, but I have the Colts as the 12th defense on my rankings this week. That's ahead of consensus. I believe consensus has them outside the top 15. Chargers have been really favorable to opposing defenses, and the Chargers offensive line is beat to shit right now, guys. It is really, really bad. I think I read something to the effect of like they're like fourth or fifth strings, from a left tackle standpoint. Meaning, if you take left and right tackle, that counts for two. The backups to both will count that as four. Like we're on like the fifth tackle. It's pretty rough. For the Chargers, injuries have really, really snake bitten them. Both of these teams have been snake bitten by injuries. So I would go with Hurts because he's been solid. So is Herbert. Don't get me wrong. Um, he got me thinking here though. I guess I would be curious to see if what the Colts injury report looks like. Because I also really like Vikings defense this week too. Man, I mean, they are back to back in my rankings, and I'm of course gonna adjust. I think the interesting thing is when you look at the over unders, Colts and Chargers over under in that game 48.5. Eagles are at 44, 44.5 in that game. So definitely expecting more points. Colts Chargers also, that game's in a dome in LA. Vikings in a dome as well. But Eagles got to travel there. I'm okay. It's kind of a coin flip. I got to be completely honest with you. Um, I think I still lean Hurts over Herbert just because of those injuries, and the Colts defense has been good. Vikings, coming off of a bye, getting healthy is interesting, but if they're back to back, I don't know. I almost feel like I don't want to answer this question because it feels tough, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Hurts just because of the rushing upside, and I worry about Herbert's offensive line being as injured as they are. Also, we still feeling okay about Green Bay. Um, yeah, I'm feeling okay about them. I think there's a world Green Bay is going to probably drop down in my rankings. They're at 5 right now. They're probably going to go below the Browns and the Vikings. I feel like Green Bay's defense has been propped up with Micah Parsons, and we saw a strong, start to the season. But they're from an EPA standpoint, they've been atrocious the last few weeks at the bottom of the league on defense. So, and in some good matchups. So, you know, excuse me. So I mean, I worry a little bit about the Packers in this one. I would have felt. I feel like I feel better if Kyler plays. I know that sounds crazy, but if he's going to be possibly limited from a mobility standpoint, they're going on the road though. Marv is going to be back. So yeah, I mean, I have them ranked at 7 right now. Another defense to keep in mind. And to just keep an eye on is the Rams. I have them sliding down my rankings. I posted my rankings yesterday. They were 8. I think I might drop them as low as 12, behind the Eagles, behind the Colts, behind the Bears. Reason being is, the Rams are doing something different where they're not even in London yet. I think I correct me if I'm wrong. I know they're staying on the East Coast. I think they're practicing at the Baltimore Orioles Stadium. That yesterday they weren't even there. I think they're coming to London today. Of course, they're not going to do it tomorrow, but I get a little bit nervous about that. They're traveling, and London games have been really, really weird. Are always weird. So yeah, I mean the Rams are probably going to drop down my rankings, possibly as low as 12, and possibly behind the Houston Texans, who are 13. Um, I wouldn't even mind starting the Panthers over them if you're looking for a little bit of a risk. Just a feel thing. I can't sit here and point to a ton of data points that say this is why the Rams are, because of XYZ, but it feels like a feel thing. And so, yeah, let's see what else we have here. Then we're going to start building out some lineups, and we'll get to the chat, of course, but just want to start building out some DFS. Iggy said Dalton Schultz or Rondé Gadsden in PPR. Yeah, I mean, Rondé Gadsden looked really good. Keeping in mind, no Quentin Johnston last week. I still have Dalton Schultz ahead of him. I have Schultz at 18. I have Gadsden at 24. It's yeah, I'm not there just yet with Gadsden where I feel comfortable to just roll him out there. So I'm not there just yet. Appreciate you popping in. Let's see. Joe Carlton's in the house. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, man. Zach said Mason, ETN, Tet need one. I have Tet in there now, PPR with big play bonuses. Okay. I'm curious what the big play bonuses are. I'm not high on ETN this week. Some concerns there. Rams defense against the run has been pretty solid this year. I have ETN at 19. Tet, it's worth noting that he's going up against Sauce Gardner and a tough secondary, but we'll see. He's got a lot of volume. Jalen Coker's back this week. Um, I don't know if it's Jordan Mason. If we're talking Jordan Mason, I would be intrigued to possibly play him. Though I do have him below Travis Etienne because I think Jalen Carter's going to be back this week. If Carter was out, I would go with Mason. I'm going to go with Tet. I'm going to go with Tet. I could see a world where you're playing ETN Mason over ETN just because you're getting bell cow. And I'd rather a bell cow than a guy like ETN who's splitting some time. But the problem with Mason is he's just not catching passes. So there's some concern there. But I would say today I would lean Tet to start. If you want the safer play, I think it's Jordan Mason is the safer guy to roll out. I have Ted at my wide receiver 19. So hopefully that helps. Joe said, I have one lineup with Herbert Hurts, and I'm playing Herbs. He will have to have a big passing game for the Chargers to win. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I think both offenses are going to have to show up in that game. I could see the Eagles game kind of being pretty ugly. I could see that happening. It's weird. I also worry that the Eagles go back to not passing as much after they've tried the last 2 weeks and they've lost, even though the numbers for passing are up. Hoff, what's up? Thoughts on George Pickens with C Lamb back? Pickens ownership percentage is around 8. Look forward to smacking you around this weekend. Yeah, I've CeeDee Lamb at 4. I have Pickens at 17. I want to get him up somehow. I do have to get him ahead of Jalen Waddle. So I guess I would have him at 16 at least. There's a world where Deebo Samuel drops down because of this heel issue, but yeah, I feel comfortable saying that Pickens is 16 for me. It's a great matchup. With Lamb back, I have him at 16. I think that's fair. But I definitely would want him in some lineups, especially considering cost. And Joe said that, and I think it's a big Saquon week. Minnesota giving up. Yeah, that is also the important thing too, is Minnesota against the run. Now, keeping in mind, Minnesota has been out. Their linebackers have been out a lot. They've rotated a ton of players due to injuries, and they do get a bye week. Let's check out how that injury report's looking. But keeping in mind that they've been missing some guys a lot, getting an extra week of rest maybe helps. Trying to see, did they put out the injury report yesterday? They did. Okay. It's a lot of guys on this injury report. Jonathan Grenard right? Okay, hamstring. He was limited, didn't practice Wednesday. Andrew Van Ginkel limited 2 days in a row. That's important. Um, let's see. Darashaw didn't play, but that's not injury related. Not injury related rest, but didn't practice Wednesday and didn't practice Thursday. That's kind of weird to me. I mean, it's not injury related, and I can understand missing on a Wednesday, but to miss back to back days after you're coming off of a bye week seems pretty freaking weird to me. Um, that doesn't sound right at all. Uh, so yeah, I mean, just taking a look at this, but it looks like Van Ginkel's going to play, which is important. But yeah, that Darashaw thing is kind of strange. I'm trying to rack my brain around that. I mean, coming off of a bye, don't practice Wednesday, fine. He's coming off of an injury. I get it. And during the bye week, I'm sure he specifically with because of the injury is probably still kind of not rehabbing, but going through rehab things to kind of keep himself getting stronger and stronger. But then to not practice Thursday, it's kind of weird. Um, and wait, this is Thursday. Wait, hold on. Sorry, pause that. Let's see. Did they put it out for Friday? Why did I not why don't I see them putting out an injury report for Friday? Okay. Um, oh, what the Andrew Van Ginkel's out. That sucks. All right, well, that's gonna be important for DST. I don't even see an update from Darashaw. Um, fuck, man. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna make a note of that so that I don't forget that Ginkel's out when it comes to Vikings DST because that's gonna be important. Yeah, I mean, just off of that alone, I'm probably moving the Browns up to 5, guys, while you're here today. And the Vikings and Eagles DSTs just continue to get closer and closer and closer. Um, man, and Ginkle being out makes that's a struggle bus right there. I'll have to take a look at that, but I definitely am not nearly as high on the Vikings if Van Ginkel's out. So I'm gonna have to make some adjustments. I don't want to move around too much stuff while I'm live. I need to have a better state of mind here to do that. Alfredo said looking for upside flex Fannin, Whittington, or Burden. Yeah, so DJ Moore good to go. And with DJ Moore being good to go, I'm gonna assume no limitations. Maybe he's not as effective, but I expect him to be out there. I'm not playing Burden. I know everyone wants the Burden thing to happen, and I thought he was a good pickup with the possibility of DJ missing time. I'm not playing Luther Burden this week. He's going up against the Saints. I get it. It feels like a good matchup, but I would more think of an uptick for Loveland than I would think of an uptick for Burden. I would think there's a possibility. Yeah, I'm not starting Burden. Phantom, interesting because of the injuries. I'm not sorry. Well, the injuries to Njoku, but also the weather. That's what I meant to say. Uh, but to me, I think Whittington has the highest upside. I think Fannon's the safest play. I think Whittington has the highest upside. I think Fannon's the safest play. That's how I kind of look at that. Thanks for popping in, brother. Um, let's see what else do we got. All right, so let's. I see there's a couple more comments in the chat. Just stay with me here. Let me start getting over to building out some DFS lineups. So let's move over here. Okay. Um, so we're gonna go over to Stochastic. Good service that me and Hoff use for generating DFS lineups. So we got the Stochastic up here. Let me fix that. That's a little better. So we got Stochastic here. We're playing on DraftKings. We're gonna play the main slate, classic type, team control, stack exposures. Let's see. quarterback. We want at least one quarterback and a wide receiver stack for sure. Two quarterback, I'm okay with dropping that down to 15, maybe even 10. Let's just see what they give us. Opposing players, I'll drop that to 20. So let's just generate that first. Let's let that spin for a second. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the matchups here. Well, while that simulates, let's go over the matchups really quick. And just some players that we want to make sure we get into our lineup. So I'm going to share my tab here. And let's take a look at the main games and some players that we want to make sure we have in these lineups. So we'll talk about Commanders. So Dallas Commanders first. Over under in this game, guys, is 54.5. So we want pieces here. I'm sure it's going to be chalky where a lot of people are going to be on this slate. So that's going to be one thing to keep in mind. Main players we probably want here. CeeDee Lamb's going to be chalky. I'm not looking at costs on players just yet right now, but we'll take a look at that and go from there. But I'm not. Ferguson. I wouldn't mind getting Ferguson in there. If I'm gonna put Ferguson, he's gonna be in lineups that are maybe not with like Lamb and Pickens and Dak. I don't mind like having a couple, but obviously Ferguson. I'm staying away. I want to say I'm staying away from Debo. Like, let's see what the ownership is. But of course, that's a guy that we want. I think JCM is a guy that's interesting. Want to see what his ownership is. And who else? I mean, Javonte, of course. We could probably just pump up the ownership and up for all of these guys, and just see what the system gives us, and then go from there. So let's just do that. So we'll move off of that for now, but we're expecting points in that game. Second highest total on the week is Bucks Lions. So we got the Bucks and the Lions, and in this matchup, we're talking about a 52.5 total, second highest of the week. 52.5 is the total there. Joe Carlton says Luke McCaffrey. It's a good point. I'll put Luke here as well. It's just a speculative play with Terry out. Luke's been solid. I'm interested to see if his ownership is chalky too. Just because people are trying to get some outlier picks in that game. So Bucks Lions, I worry about the run defense, so I'm staying away from Gibbs and Monty. Not to say that I don't think Gibbs is going to be good this week. I have Gibbs decently high in my rankings. But for DFS purposes, I have him at 5. But I'd rather probably try to get some cheaper guys, in my lineup. Because I do worry about that. And now it's gonna be an interesting high scoring game. I will put Monty in there, just to keep up an eye on him because I don't know what his cost is right now. Let me take a look and just see. My cat's trying to jump up on this table. Oh my gosh! All right, hold on, because my cat's gonna drive me nuts if I don't kick her out of the room. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. All right, so I'm just logging into DraftKings now real quick. You know how I roll, guys. I probably should have all of this up, but I didn't know if I was gonna go live this morning, and I said, I'm not gonna prep a ton, so let me just Pete's gonna have his Hassan moment. I don't think many people know what you're talking about, but I do, and that is hilarious. So thank you for that. That is great. Very much appreciate that comment. Uh, all right, so let's go to NFL. I just want to check out that way I could at least talk about the prices for some of these guys. Um, all right, so let's just enter a random one here for Maine. All right. So here are some of the prices for some of the players. I'm curious to see David Montgomery. Um, Ja'Cory Merritt's at a price that I like at 6,100. Hoff always talks about it, but you want a guy that can triple their cost. So if it's 6,000, you're thinking okay, so 6 times 3 for Ja'Cory Merritt. You're looking at 18 points. Like I could see that for Ja'Cory. Jonathan Taylor, I'm not paying up for A Chain. I don't like him this week. And I'm sitting here talking about the main slate, but Gibbs that they're not even on this slate. Hold on. What time do they play? 4:25. Okay, so I must have made a mistake. I gotta go and get a contest that has those games. So hold on. All right. Let's see. I hate going through. I honestly, one thing I hate is I hate how clunky DraftKings DFS looks. I think it's ridiculous. Um, uh, let's do. Yeah, I just want everything that's not the late games. So give me that. What the? I just clicked on something wrong. Like these ads. Like, are you kidding me, DraftKings? Like, are we serious? Like, you don't give me much space to click off here. Like, ridiculous. Um. All right, so let's go classic. 9 games, right? Okay, that's what I thought. So can you give me what? So then I guess I'm kind of lost as to why I want to hit classic before. Am I an idiot? What am I doing here? Okay, I'm so stupid. Bucks and Lions play on Monday. That's why. That's why. Okay. So we don't even have to talk about the Bucks. Bucks game is whatever. Shaking it up here. All right. Let's just look at some just costs in general and let's just tackle it that way. So players that I like in terms of some of these costs, and some guys that I'm avoiding. Rattler's interesting at 4,800. I don't think I'm spending up on him, but I think Rattler's interesting at 4,800 if you really want to cheap out at quarterback, but I'm not going to do so. I'd rather just spend a little bit of money. Justin Fields, the thing about Fields is you look at this Jets game, and the Jets game has a total. The Jets are implied for 20 and a half. Which is kind of weird because they don't have Garrett Wilson. So I think that the thought here is that they're going to, that they're going to have, Justin Fields run a ton in this matchup. So let's put down. I'm just going to do it this way. Let's put down Justin Fields. I'll try to have him and some exposure there. And dude, ever since that my cat just fell, I have freaking cat hair on my leg. So I'm gonna put Justin Fields in there as a guy that I'll try to tick up his exposure a little bit. Um, the tough thing with Breece Hall, ownership at 31.8%, Javonte Williams ownership at 32.1%, CeeDee Lamb 28.2, Judkins 27.4. A lot of chalk on those guys. Pickens doesn't look like he's crazy owned. Let me verify. I mean, 9.4% ownership for Pickens is not bad. So while we're sitting here, I'm definitely going to boost Pickens' ownership. Yeah, I'm going to boost him up. I want to make sure I have him in my lineup then, as we talked about it with Hoff before. Jaden Daniels is at 23% pool exposure. Dak Prescott's only at 7. So I'll bump up Pickens and Prescott to get some stacks there. Because to me, this is a high scoring game. The last 2 games that have been played in Dallas this season have been like 40 points. Dak gets all his weapons back. I don't know why Dak's priced so low in terms of exposure, but I mean, I guess I get it. 6,500, one of the more expensive quarterbacks, but I mean, Dak 18 points from Dak is definitely doable. Caleb Williams is very very interesting at 5,800, but again, that game weather's bad. So I'm a little bit concerned there. Um, I do want to note too, if I don't know if Hoff is still here, but we do have a DFS that we're running a contest. Feel free to drop it in. Zach Linton also just dropped in a DFS in our Discord too. So Zach, you can drop your DFS link in there as well if you want to play. But yeah, guys on this slate that I'm looking at is going to be Dak. I don't love a ton of these lower owned players. Maybe Fields, but I'm not gonna reach to go get him. And the problem with Fields is there's not a ton of stacks that I love. Maybe Josh Reynolds. Maybe Mason Taylor and Fields. I think that's fine. So yeah, let me bump up the ownership for Fields and Mason Taylor. So we have Mason Taylor, we have Dak, and we have Dak, and we have Pickens, and let's add Luke McCaffrey into that because like we talked about before with Joe Carlton, Luke McCaffrey is an interesting player. So let's get him in there as well. Um, let's see what else. Luke McCaffrey, what's his cost? It's got to be really cheap, man. It's got to be. He's got to be down here, right? Oh, I'll just type him in. Luke. 4,100. Whoo! 4,100. What is the expected ownership for Luke McCaffrey? Uh, let's see. Wide receiver. Luke McCaffrey, 0.9% ownership. It's a good call. Good call by Joe Carlton there. I'm definitely gonna make sure I have some Luke. That's fine. I don't want to have Jaden Daniels though. I'm bumping him down. I'm sure Daniels is gonna probably be good this week, but I'm gonna bump him down just because I think his cost, if I remember correctly in here, yeah, I mean 6,900. It's not that much more than Dak, but no Terry. Debo seems like he could be gimpy. I do like Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, so I'll put Ja'Cory as also a guy to bump up some ownership there. But I'm gonna avoid Daniels at his cost for now. Let's see what else. We do want Mason Taylor. We talked about that. What other game do we want to target? Colts Chargers. Let's take a look at some of the ownership or at least some of the costs in this game. So you have Herbert here at 6,400. I'm not going to spend up on Herbert. Let's see. What about the running backs? I don't want Vidal, so I'm gonna make sure I make a note. I'm gonna do it right now on Stochastic, but I'm gonna make sure Vidal is not. Can you guys hear me? I just got a notification that the audio is not working. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. Yeah, definitely don't want Vidal. 9.9% rostered. I'm not touching Kamani Vidal this week. Please do not. I do not want him at all. So start off like that. I don't want Devon A-Chain this week, so we can do that. I'm fine eating the chalk on Judkins. I don't want the chalk on Brees Hall. I know it's probably a solid week, but a 31% ownership, and that's all. If there's a world that doesn't go his way, in a smash matchup, then you're feeling pretty good not having him in the lineup. Let's see what else. Swift. I'm good. I don't want Swift. J.K. Dobbins, I'm not looking to put him in my lineup either. I know the Giants seem like a good matchup. Broncos are on like their fourth string guard. We'll put some Rico in the lineup. That's fine. Let's get Rico in there. This is probably the better way to do it. We'll put Rico in there. Alvin Kamara. Yeah, I mean, with the weather, I'm good on Alvin. I'm not trying to get him into my lineups. Pacheco, I will put Pacheco there. Let's get some exposure to Pacheco. He's lower roster, 2.5%. Trevor Henderson, we'll get him in there too. His cost is probably cheap. Tony Pollard, we're gonna thumbs down to infinity. Do not want him. I'm gonna give some extra thumbs down. I'm okay. I'm not gonna do extra for Dobbins. I still see a world where he has a good game. I'm gonna do extra for Vidal. If there's a fourth arrow down, yeah, just please, just nod. Please don't put him in my lineup. Yeah, that's fine. I know it seems obscure, but that's what I'm doing. Saquon Barkley, yes, 11.2% ownership. Let's definitely try to get him in the lineup, as we talked about with Joe Carlton, like Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Let's try to get him in the lineup. 20% ownership. I'm good with Jacobs. Let's try to get him in. The rest, we'll see how the rest of this falls. I don't want Javonte at his ownership at 32. I like Javonte in that matchup, but I just, what's his cost here? Javante's at 6,700. He's cheaper than Rico Dowdle. That's crazy. All right, I won't do that with Javante. We'll put him back at regular. If he's in the lineup, it's fine. Let's see what else. What else? Cam Scadaboo, no thank you. I'm good there. Some like more deeper dart throws. Let's see. Tajay Spears is interesting. I don't mind maybe getting a little bit of Tajay Spears. I just don't want them to force him into my lineup. Kareem Hunt's interesting too. Zonovan Knight, no thanks. Don't want Chuba. Kendre, I'll leave it there. Kendre's interesting. I'm sure his cost is probably solid. Michael Carter, no. Let's see what else. I'm gonna take a look at some of these chat questions real quick. Let me get through the running back here, and then we'll build out some of these lineups. RJ Harvey, he's had 50 yards in both back-to-back games with the Broncos. Man, at home, I'm sorry, at home, I'm not gonna bump up his exposure, but I'll leave it there. Will Shipley, please don't put him in my lineup. Manungai is interesting. I'll leave him there. Kareem Hunt's interesting. I'll leave him there. Fine if these guys get put in my lineup. Is there anybody like obscure, that is somewhere deep down here that we can get? No, I think that's about it for the running backs. Let's check out the wide receivers. Take a look at some of these questions really quick. Jason Poole said, "Good morning, brother. PPR pick 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 tight end. JMO Bourne, Quentin Johnson, Marv, Laporta, Kraft. Thank you. Yeah. I'm starting Kraft. And I'm flexing Laporta. That's a high scoring game. I'll put Laporta in there. So Kraft, Laporta, and the flex. So that's 1 tight end, 1 flex, and then you just need 2 wide receivers here. I'll go with Jamison Williams, and I will go with Quentin Johnston. Yeah, I mean, JMO is so up and down, and I hate putting him in my lineup, but I'm gonna do it. High scoring game. Russell, what's up, man? Said, "Hey, Pete, need upside play here. Who do you sit between these 4? Sutton, Tet, Keenan, Whittington. Thanks for your time." Yeah, no problem, man. Yeah, I mean, you're sitting Whittington. Keenan's been disappointing, but he's going to be in a high scoring matchup. And Sutton and Tet, I mean, that you want upside. Those guys are good. I mean, there's risk with both of them, especially Sutton. I think Sutton's due for a big game. I mean, Demaryius Thomas tribute this week was close to him. Had a down week last week. playing against a bad team in the Giants, a lot of emotions. I expect Sutton to be big, even if they're up. They're gonna do the right thing and get him the ball, I think. Um, so yeah, that's how we roll. We buy homes near you. Said I have Green Bay roster with McBride as my tight end one. Should I hold them or pick up Browns, Seattle, or Bears? I would say Seattle or Browns. I prefer Seattle just because of the amount of sacks that they've been able to generate. I like the Browns. I still like Seattle more. Interested to see, what that secondary. I mean, thing with Seattle is like they've been able to be really good with like all these guys injured in the secondary on defense. So I like Seattle. They're just generating a lot of pressure against that Texans team, and they're at home. So I would go with Seattle. Non PPR start one flex, Jordan Mason, Hendy, Diggs, and Bourne. Yeah, I mean, if it's non PPR, I'm going with Jordan Mason against the Eagles. He's still gonna get that lion's share. So big draft energies in the house. What's up, man? Said Brees Hall legacy game this week. Yeah, we talked about it. Brees 32% rostered. He's so chalk this week for DFS. I'm just gonna try to stay away. Um, What else we got? Said I have an open bench roster spot. Who would I pick up? RJ Harvey, Kendre Boutte, Judy. Yeah, I'm picking up Harvey. Don't think Kamara's gonna be traded. Judy, I don't know what's going on with him, man. Like I don't think better days are ahead for him. He's gonna be up and down. And Boutte is gonna be same up and down. There's gonna be Bouttes out there on waivers every week. There's gonna be go pick up this wide receiver on like wide receivers are a dime a dozen. You can find guys in solid matchups on waivers that you can throw out there, and you're not gonna those guys, Judy and Boutte, they're not gonna be everyday starters for every week starters for you. So I'd rather pick up an RJ Harvey who has upside behind a back that's had injury issues, and also I know Dobbins has a stranglehold on the roll right now, but I expect Harvey to still be solid back half of the year. So that's kind of how I look at it. Alex, what's up, man? Good to see you. Lil Jordan Humphrey, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good on him. Like, I would want Wandale if I was going to target anybody there. Um, Thanks for popping in, man. Mike said Jennings or Whittington, non PPR. I'm going to go with Whittington, Franklin, Josh Reynolds, or Little Jordan Humphreys. I would go with Josh Reynolds. Yeah, I would go with Josh Reynolds. Barkley with no Ginkle should do well. Yeah, we were just talking about that. I just saw Ginkle was ruled out, so I think Barkley's roster ownership is real. I mean, this could be the week where it's like, dude, like you're getting like Barkley at 11.2%. Like, I mean, that's pretty nice. So I bumped up his exposure there. Let's take a look at the wide receivers. Let's go there next. You see the chalk here. I mean, it's Lamb, it's Rice. I'm not gonna down them too much because the wide receiver position is such a mess that you need some of these big hitters in it. So I'm not gonna do that. I am gonna bump down Olave. With the weather there and the chalk, I'm good. I'll take a pass on that. Um, mm, Quinyon Mitchell is probably playing this week. I'll leave Jefferson there. It's fine. I do want some exposure to Rome, but the weather, it's going to be pretty nasty there. Um, yeah, I'll leave it there. That's fine. AJ Brown, good. The experience has been shit. I'm good right now. If he has a good week, he has a good week. It's fine. Lad McConkey, yes, I want all the lad. I've been pumping him in Fast Draft. If you're not on Fast Draft already, go check that out. Promo code Nova, get 50%. Sorry, you can get double deposit match if you use my code. It's a really, really fun app over there. Romeo Dobbs, wow. I mean, I can't say that. I guess I mean him to be this high in ownership was kind of surprising. But I guess the percentage of the lineups this player appears with your generated pool. Okay, well, I made a mistake there. Let's see. So let me go back to Brees Hall there. Okay, so I was under still. some over pool exposure a little bit here. Debo, man. I like him this week, but whatever. I'm not gonna mess with it. Just give me pieces there. It's fine. Like Michael Pittman. I'm gonna bump him up. Matthew Golden. I'm okay. I'm not gonna go out of my way to have him. Um, I don't want to have my pool exposure higher on him. Pickens, yes, yes. Give me more Pickens. Keenan's fine there at his ownership. Diggs, yeah, give me some Diggs. I'll bump him up. Jared Judy, no, good on that. Quentin Johnston, get him up. That's fine. Um, Chris Moore, uh, like whatever, it's fine. Um, Jacoby, I'm good on Jacoby. No, thank you. I don't even think he's gonna play. I don't know if he's gonna play. I don't think he's gonna play, but we'll see. DJ Moore, no, no. Uh, let's see. Wandale, yeah, I'll pump him up. I know he's got a tough matchup in Denver, but I'll bump him up. Game script might maybe good for him there. Alec Pierce, yep. Give me some Alec Pierce. Alec Manor, no, I'm good there. Uh, Double down that. Dontavian Wicks, no, no. Devonta Smith, yes. I definitely would like some Devonta Smith. I'm good with that. Marvin Mims is interesting. I'll bump him up. Will Jordan Humphreys, no. Talked about that. Do not want him. Keyshawn Boutte, I'll leave there. Let's see. Feel free to ask any questions, guys. I'm still, happy to help. Luke McCaffrey, we talked about him before. I definitely want him in my lineups. Jalen Lane is interesting. Chimere DK, no. Luther Burden, I'll leave him there. It's fine if he gets in a couple of my lineups. So, I'm okay with that. Is anybody far down that we talked about that I want? Josh Downs, I'm gonna so that I don't have to worry about them putting him in my lineup. Marv, no, no. Coker, yeah, let's put up Coker. It's not really anybody sticking out to me here. Yeah, now we're getting to the shit. Yeah, that's cool. I'm good. I don't want Trey Harris. I don't think they're gonna put any of these guys in my lineup anyway. If they do, whatever, it's fine. All right, let's see what else. We buy home said looking ahead at week 8 with my tight end 1 going on a bye. Would you rather Mason Taylor or Kate Otten against the Saints? Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is a look ahead. Hmm. Bengals. I don't even know why I thought about it. I mean, we just saw the Steelers have 4 touchdowns, tight ends. It was 3 or 4. So yeah, gotta go Taylor there. All right, so let's look at the tight ends here. I think it's a blow up spot for me, for Tyler Warren. I want all of that. Um, I'm good on McBride. I don't want to overextend on him, but I do want Tyler Warren in a lot of spots. Mason Taylor, yeah, I mean, I'll get up on him a little bit. Ertz is cool. We could stay there at that. Tucker Craft, yeah, I'm already above the ownership, so that's cool. I don't know why no doubt Dallas Goedert's not like rostered as high, so I'll take Goddard. He's been awesome. Um, Ferg, we'll go with him too. Michael Mayer, yeah, I want Michael Mayer if I can get him. I'm gonna say no to Darren Waller. No to Juwan Johnson. No to Gadsden. Uh, Sorry, Hawk, but no. No. Evan Ingram, yeah. Good pumping him up. I mean, he's top 5 in targets the last 3 weeks. Rest of these guys, JT and Theo Johnson, maybe I'll leave him there, but I think there's a good chance that whatchamacallit's back. So is there a way to oh shoot, okay. I could take guys off completely. I'm a freaking dumbass. I don't know why I didn't do that. All right, so if we can do that, then I'm taking McBride off. Remove McBride. Go back to running back. Remove. No. I'll leave Dobbins there because I'm okay if I get him, but don't want Scat. Don't want Kamara. No. No. That's cool. Good with that. What else we got? Let's make sure that we don't have any of these injured guys that get put in. I don't want Little Jordan Humphries. I don't want Wicks. Don't want Chimere DK. Let's make sure these guys are pushed out. Good on Marv. Don't want him. Don't want Ridley. Don't want Downs. Oh, that's good. All right. Let's see. I think that we're getting pretty close to building out the lineups. I know this has been tough. I know I'm kind of going through these slow guys. Let's see. Quarterbacks, we talked about it. Daniels is chalky. I'll drop him down a little bit. Mahomes, I mean, yeah, I'm already kind of lower on it, so that's fine. Caleb, I talked about him. I'm gonna bump him down. Herbert, let's bump him up. We talked about him before. Especially I'm high on his receivers, so let's bump him up. Him and Herbert and Dak is fine. Let's see. What is Daniel Jones? I mean, Daniel Jones, he should be higher. Um, Fields, you're killing me, man. I'll bump him up. I'll bump Jordan Love up. Um, yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. Actually, I'll put Bryce Young on there. Whatever. Forget him. All right, now to DST, and then we will roll. So for this, I generally like to. I don't want to be too chalk, but that's fine. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Their exposure is fine. Yeah, I mean, all this is fine. Let's see. Let's try to find like a cheap defense. Yeah, let's get the Panthers up there. Let's get the Bears up there. Let's see who else is cheap that I like. Colts. Gotta get the Colts up there. Packers are fine there. Giants. All right, let's generate these. So if you're not familiar with Stochastic, they'll generate what you just saw, and they'll give me different ownerships, and then you can kind of tweak from there. But really good product. If you like DFS. Man, 10 o'clock on the Eastern time zone. I got a party tonight. I'm supposed to have a bunch of people coming over for a Halloween party. So I don't really know what my costume is going to be. So that's good. Have not picked that out. So that's all right though. All right. So let's see. Let's see what they gave us. So running backs. Holy shit! They gave us 40% pool exposure to Javante. What's his price? Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, he's at 6,700, and I like Javante a lot this week. I don't know, man. The 40%, it feels like way too much. Let's drop him down. That's too much. Yeah, that Brees Hall feels a lot better there. I'm fine with Judkins at 33. Um, Saquon, yes, 20% is cool. I'm good with that. Love Saquon this week. That's great. All right, let's see wide receivers how they do here. Let's see. They bumped us up on Rice a lot, but I guess it's because of stacks, maybe. That's fine. That's fine. We talked about it. Just wide receivers kind of messy right now. Uh, my son suggested a vampire. It's not bad. It's not a bad idea. I don't hate it. Yeah, Jalen Waddle's gonna have to drop down. I don't want to be overexposed to him. Let's see. I think we're good there. All right. So while that runs, let's take a final look here at just some players that I like. Um, just in terms of just let's just build out a lineup here. And then, I'll do the stochastic stuff. You don't have to see me build out those lineups. So let's check out the quarterbacks and yeah, I mean, I like Daniel Jones. Especially I mean, he's been really, really good and has cost 6,000. Uh, he's missing some pieces, but I'm going to take Daniel Jones and let's get the Jalen Jones and Tyler Warren stack there, and then let's get Lad McConkey in this as well. So we get the extra piece in that matchup. So let's start off like that. Let's go to DST. Let's see, what DSTs do we like? Let's go with the Panthers for 2,500. Willing to take a swing on that. Let's see. Let's go back to the running backs here. Let's get some stacks in that Cowboys game. So we go with Jacory, Krosky. Let's go with wow, Sealand's only 2,000 more than Pickens. That's a value. I'll take that. Pickens is expensive. Wow, holy shit. Yeah, maybe that's why his exposure wasn't so high. His ownership wasn't so high because, I mean, if you're gonna pay up, you might as well pay up for Lamb. Oh man, that's tough. Pickens. 15% I'm fine on. Whatever. All right, so we got, let's see, 16,000 left. We got a running back, a flex, and a wide receiver. So we have about 5,000 to work with. So let's go with Luke McCaffrey because we talked about it. It's cheap. That should give us a little more money to work with. So we get 6,300 here. Let's see. So we need one running back, and then we need that. All right, is there a cheap back that I like? Let's put Barkley in there, and then let's figure out a cheap guy here in the flex. I'm good with that. Tucker Craft. Yeah, I'm good with that. Let's go with Tucker Craft. All right, so we got an interesting one here. So Daniel Jones, Jacory Krosky, Merritt. So we're stacking up that Colts game. We get McCaffrey on the other side of that. I'm sorry, we get McConkey on the other side of that, and then we also stack with Warren and Jones. Alec Pierce was an interesting play that I talked about before. What's his price? 4,100. Let's see if we were to. I mean, you could bump out Luke McCaffrey for Alec Pierce, but McCaffrey's been good, man. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, good, maybe great. I don't know. I mean, but it's gonna be a high scoring game and no Terry, low ownership. That's fine with me. If I were to take out Tucker Craft and I was to bring in Alec Pierce, and then I'd have 800 left. Is there any way I can bump anybody up? Let's take out Luke McCaffrey and just see, and then put Pierce in his spot. So let's go Pierce. And then the flex spot, we have 4,900 left. Go back to craft. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm all right. We pretty much flip flop there. That's cool. All right. So Daniel Jones, Ja'Cory, Barkley, Ladd, CeeDee Lamb, Pierce. So we get Ladd and Ja'Cory in that game. We go cheap on the defense, but I like the Panthers as a high upside play. There's some risk there. Um, Kraft at 4,900 is a good cost. Um, the only thing I just worry about playing two tight ends, but that's fine. We'll roll with that. We'll roll with that. And yeah, I mean that's how we do it, man. That's how we do it. We're finished. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Tomorrow I will be back in the morning for my start sit show for all that have attended. I haven't been able to show up the last couple of weeks. I will be there tomorrow in the morning. So make sure you are here bright and early. We do have the London game. I'm probably going to be hungover as hell in the morning tomorrow. Got a party here tonight. So that should be fun. What else? What else do I have for you guys? I mean, I think that's really it. Let's see. Juice said, "Do you suspect you bump Houston or Miami over Cleveland by tomorrow?" No, I'm not putting Miami over Cleveland. I don't trust Miami's defense. Houston, no. I'm gonna have Cleveland ahead of both of those comfortably. But that's really all I got for you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for popping in here in the morning. And yeah, show up tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow morning, as I always am. And I'll see you guys next time.